Next up, we have our Q&A section, and we have many questions left. So hopefully Alexei is also back and he's ready to answer some more questions. I hope he had a small rest in between his speech and the Q&A. So let's see. We have some older questions, and let me go through them real quick. So okay, CentOS 8. Maybe Alexei can comment on our stance on CentOS 8. Are we going to continue supporting it because it's a really common OS for our users? And are we ourselves use it extensively? Do we kind of maybe we'll switch to recommending something else or stick with CentOS 8? Or how's that going to look in the future?
Well, I think we are going to support all possible operating systems. So, of course, I think the rolling release of CentOS 8 is absolutely fine to us. So, I believe very soon we'll start providing packages for CentOS 8. But also, we are looking to building packages for newborn alternatives, like, for example, the Rocky Linux and maybe some other distributions which came out of CentOS. Yeah, so it's okay for us, absolutely. So if we see that one or another distribution of Linux become popular, then we'll for sure build some packages for this specific distribution.
Thank you. Next up, so we have right now database partitioning, but using Postgres and timescale. Do we have any plans maybe on implementing it out of the box for other database backends?
Well, I think I'll answer as well. Yeah, so partitioning is not a very simple thing. Partitioning is implemented differently for different database engines. It's very different how it's implemented in MySQL and in a Postgres and also in Oracle. That's why there is no kind of the single approach to partitioning. This is one thing that makes it difficult. Another thing is that requirements to partitioning are very different depending on the customer, depending on how big is your Zabbix environment. For example, for the largest customers, we implement in some rare cases even hourly partitioning, because the amount of data collected by some of the largest Zabbix installations is enormous. Yeah, and switching from one schema, like for example, you had a weekly partitioning, and then you decide to switch. Okay, I want to use a daily partitioning, is absolutely not a trivial task, and that's why even now we do not provide partitioning for MySQL and for Postgres out of the box. We should at some point. We should at some point, but as I say, there are some kind of technical difficulties. It's not that easy.
Thank you. All right, couple more questions, and I think you've probably answered them before, but I think people are very interested to hearing answers to those. On our roadmap, I think we can see that HA or some sort of load balancing and scaling is planned down the line. Can you maybe talk about how you see that being implemented in the future, just in general terms?
Yeah, so actually the design for high availability for Zabbix server is already done. And as I mentioned, it's already being developed by our development team. So I know pretty well how it works. Basically, we would have ability to run Zabbix servers in a cluster. So you can say that I have 3 Zabbix servers running, and they define a cluster, high availability cluster. It means that at every given moment, one Zabbix server will be running. If this Zabbix server goes down, actually another Zabbix server will start up automatically. So that's how it works very briefly for Zabbix server high availability. In case, if you're talking about Zabbix proxies, what I would like to see ideally is ability to have clusters for load balancing. So basically, ability to tell a group of Zabbix proxies, hey, we have 10 Zabbix proxies. Please monitor this big environment. You have, for example, 5,000 of hosts to monitor, 10 proxies. Here it is. And then it will, and Zabbix would automatically kind of balance the load between those proxies. If one proxy goes down, it's not a big deal because the load will be rebalanced automatically. If we understand that 10 proxies is not enough because now we have maybe 50,000 of hosts to monitor, you can actually add another maybe 5 or 10 proxies to the cluster, and Zabbix will do kind of rebalancing all automatically. That's the goal. That's how we see it. Actually, we are already thinking how to implement it, but design is not ready yet. We really believe that it may become a part of Zabbix 6.0. Well, if everything goes well, no promises so far, but it's part of Zabbix 6.0 roadmap.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Next up, and I'm seeing this question the second time. First time I missed it, so I will ask it right now. Do we have plans to, in case of auto-registration, to have an option to add tag to a host when it gets auto-registered?
I think it will come in the future, of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know yet if it will be just a feature of our standard actions, or we may implement it as part of our bigger work on event correlation engine. Yeah, so I don't know yet, but it will come, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And maybe, and this is from my side, and I think this is really interesting, maybe you can talk more about these changes to event correlation. Like what are we planning to do? Are we planning to rework it, add some extra options? How's that going to look like?
Okay, actually, there are two big steps. Yeah, the step one is probably to implement some sort of general event correlation engine, some sort of kind of pre-processing engine for events. Okay, now we have a great working pre-processing and very flexible one for data, basically for time series data. But what is probably missing is the same thing with ability to filter events, to duplicate events, to find a correlation between the different events for events, yeah, for problems actually. Yeah, that's kind of the first part. And the second part, which is already in our roadmap, is to allow Zabbix to basically to retrieve events from other sources, not necessarily from maybe from other Zabbixes. So, for example, you have multiple Zabbix servers running, and you want to consolidate. You want to consolidate all events in one place. All right. So one Zabbix server would be able to get events out of other system. It could be Zabbix servers event, it could be different traps, it could be integrations with other systems like, say, IBM Netcool. It could be log file monitoring and syslog monitoring. It's also events basically. So these are two phases, and I really hope that by Zabbix 6.0, it's a huge amount of work for us. It will require quite significant architectural decisions, but I'm pretty sure that by 7.0 we'll manage to implement both.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alexei. Do you still have energy for, let's say, 5 more questions?
Absolutely, yeah. As many as you wish.
Because we have 70 plus in the QA section, so we could be answering them all day.
I already answered some of them.
All right, great. Thank you. I did notice that. I saw a couple of questions about template upgrades. So as people may know, when you upgrade Zabbix instance, the new templates, they don't get automatically imported into Zabbix. And there were quite a few questions about that. Will there be some way to automate the import of, say, new templates? Is this planned? Is this discussed at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And the work we did in Zabbix 5.4, this is the first or maybe a second step in this direction. So the idea is to have a template versioning when, for example, we as a Zabbix vendor, we maintain templates, we keep kind of versioning of the templates, and you as a user of Zabbix, instead of kind of downloading them manually, for example, you just go to Zabbix UI, you see what templates are available, what official templates are available, and you may just grab the latest version. You can see what's the difference between what you already have in your system and what we are providing in the new version, and make a decision. Do I need it? Should I upgrade or not? Yeah, so that's the idea, to make it as transparent and as easy as possible for end users.
Thank you. We have next up another question. Network discovery. Will it support TLS? It may be on the same. We're on the same topic. What about auto registration and encryption? Any improvements planned for that in the future? Because last I checked, it was only PSK.
Well, yeah, I think still we do support PSK only. We don't have at the moment anything related to, I know, for example, the TLS encryption for discovery. Not yet. Not something that I'm aware of. I think if you have some kind of specific use cases, probably it's a good idea to reach us, to reach our engineers, and to tell about your needs. Maybe we can find some solution, or possibly we can improve Zabbix to support you.
Something completely different, maps. Do we plan on improving maps, for example, out-of-the-box integrations with OpenStreetMaps, Google Maps, maybe even automatic network linkage by using LLDP or CDP or something like that?
Yeah, actually, there are two questions. One question is about, or maybe even three questions. One is about geographical maps. Yeah, it's absolutely coming. We already have a few prototypes in R&D stage. The second probably question is about kind of a general representation of the information we have, like a host, relationship between hosts, maybe relationship between host and a host group on a map, which would be automatically and dynamically generated. I really think that this feature is really, really missing in Zabbix, and will definitely appear at some point. And maybe the third kind of sub question is about having network topology discovery in Zabbix. Yeah, very good topic. No, I cannot provide you with or promise kind of any delivery dates, but that's something I would like to see for sure. Yeah, we really need to move from kind of handmade graphs, not really graphs, but handmade maps, which we used to in Zabbix, which are not flexible, which are not dynamic, and require some manual work to maintain, to something much more flexible, dynamic, with the filtering options, with the search options, which would really give us a very good understanding of dependencies in our IT infrastructure. And by the way, today I mentioned our work on a business service monitoring, and I think as soon as we have a business service monitoring ready, it will come with a graphical representation of service map, with all dependencies, with all SLA data, with the root cause and impact analysis built in. So this will be a really powerful feature, and it is coming 6.0.
Thank you. Once again, something completely different is our team, or maybe you're aware of some community members that are working on Helm charts for Zabbix deployment on Kubernetes.
Well, I know it's already available. We as Zabbix vendor still do not support it officially. I think we should. At some point. Yeah, we should step in and tell everyone, community and Zabbix users, that this is officially supported Helm chart for Kubernetes deployment. Yeah.
Something that I noticed for reports, and this was asked in Q&A, I think, and also discussed in the chat. Currently, it's scheduled, or we can send out the report by using a test button. But would there be like some other approach to reporting instead of maybe using a test button, which right now, at least as I know, doesn't resolve time macro, for example? Would there be a way to press a button and send the report to a set of users without scheduling it and all of that?
I hope so. Yeah, I don't know if you have any particular plans of improving this functionality anytime soon, but obviously it's all about kind of a better user experience, and we should look at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And let's say, I think based on our time, this will be the last question. But for MySQL and Postgres on Oracle, since they now support JSON tables, are we considering to use these tables instead of using, for example, Elasticsearch and exporting data there? Essentially using JSON data on MySQL, Postgres, and Oracle tables.
Possibly, if they ever decide to support kind of a JSON kind of data type, or maybe more generalized events, as I mentioned before, events which we may receive from a different systems, maybe in a different formats, like I don't know, syslog or log files or different type of traps, whatever. Of course, it's one of the very logical solutions, technical solutions, to keep kind of all this information in a JSON format. Yeah, and I'm absolutely aware. For example, the Postgres, it has a very excellent implementation of for storing JSON data, as well as MySQL and Oracle does support it as well. So yeah, it may be implemented in the future, of course. Yeah. And it will be, I think also it will be much easier for Zabbix users, because in this case, you just don't have to maintain like two different storages. Like one is a traditional relational database, could be MySQL or a Postgres, and maybe keep a cluster of Elastic. Yeah, so it's quite, I would say it's not easy, and it's quite expensive from maintenance point of view.
Mm-hmm. Thank you a lot. This was exactly the point of the question. Yeah, because the person said that maybe they don't want to maintain Elastic and at some point move fully to one of those mentioned database backends. All right. Thank you a lot, Alexei. I think this will be all for today. Thank you a lot for your resilience. You did cover, I think, something around like 20 questions or so. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everyone for being with us today and for all your questions. I think we haven't answered all of them, but well, we tried, and maybe we'll continue to answering them later on.
Yeah, for that, we always have forums where support engineers hang out, developers hang out, and the questions are very much welcome there. We have different community channels. We have our subreddit where I also see some of our partners hang out, and also support engineers and developers. We have our social networks where you are free to always ask a question, and you'll get help from, once again, us and the community members. So yeah, we of course won't be able to answer all of the nearly 100 unanswered questions right now that we have. We could keep on going all day. So I very much recommend and suggest everyone use those resources. Reddit community is very friendly. Our forum is also very friendly and is official, and that's where we practice and spend our free time, our downtime at work, for example, and many of us even outside of work. So definitely feel free to use that. And maybe most likely Alexei himself sometimes just speaks in the forum and helps some either new or experienced users resolving their problems.
I do occasionally, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have to start thinking about Zabbix Summit 2021, our grand event, our yearly grand event dedicated to Zabbix 6.0. So many of the things that Alexei covered just now in his initial Q&A and his initial speech, you might be able to see them live on our summit, happening in October 21, on October 21, 2021. This time it will also be an online event. Most likely also a very, very long all-day event full of different speeches from ourselves, our partners. And what does this mean? This means that call for papers is now open. And I do know that there are many of you guys who have really interesting use cases, really complex environments. And I highly recommend that you guys hand in your presentation and then your speech for call for papers, and you will have a chance to talk to hundreds, thousands of people. It's not even hundreds. It was a really insane a number. Hundreds is when we were live. Now it's thousands and thousands of people that see us and interact and participate. You'll be able to present your use case, do a little PR for your company, talk about yourselves, about Zabbix, about the kind of um, the symbiotic relationship that we have over there with Zabbix and your environment, and how you have used Zabbix and implemented it. So really, really great opportunity to also practice your speech skills in front of a really large crowd. So call for paper is very much welcome, guys. You have the link at the bottom over here where you can see all of the additional information. And of course, as always, we'll have special fan packages. We'll have partners rooms, tech rooms, sales rooms, and it's free. Yes, once again, same as last year, it's free for everyone. Just pop in at any point, and you will be able to see it. And of course, it will be recorded. If you're interested, previous summit, the 2020 summit, is also available on our YouTube page. I did send it. I did send it in the chat. The channel name is Zabbix. So if you're interested in how the online summit looks, feel free to take a peek on our YouTube channel and see how that looks. And hopefully that interests you in the Zabbix Online Summit 2021. Okay, that's that, guys. Thank you very much. We had over 300 users over here, and that's a pretty crazy number. I one of the highest numbers I've ever seen for our meetups and release days. So at some point I did actually get nervous. Initially it was like real simple for me, but I saw the number and got both excited and nervous also. So thank you a lot, guys. We had really lively chat, really lively Q&A section. Once again, yes, we weren't able to answer everything because it was really unexpected how many questions and comments you guys had. Please use forums, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. Reach out to us. If you wish to have a demo or something, reach out to our sales guys and we'll hold a demo for you. Maybe we have new users here who haven't used Zabbix before. So feel free to reach out for a demo. We'll do a demonstration for you, see how Zabbix fits your use case. And keep an eye out on our upcoming events, trainings, webinars, meetups, the summit, of course. And hopefully, guys, we will get to talk to you again very, very soon. Thank you a lot, guys, and have a great rest of the day.